Hello YouTube and welcome back to another video from me, your host Logan Albright. I'm not doing a book review today because, as regular viewers of my channel will know, I am a huge fan of the Criterion Collection Blu-ray label, and they have just had their semi-annual half-off sale, and I wanted to avail myself of that and get a bunch of stuff that I've been looking for a while. And I thought I would share it with you because it's always fun to do kind of a haul video. Now, I didn't do this video immediately upon getting my purchases, and so I've watched a couple of them, and I'll talk about the ones I've watched, but I still have a lot of them that I have not yet watched, so let's get through it. The first thing I really wanted to get, this was kind of the main thing on my wish list, was the John Cassavetes 5 Films box set. I've heard many people talk about Cassavetes. I saw a film that he was acting in but did not direct, but I've never seen any of the films that he's directed. And so this is a set that I wanted to get. I had a coupon to get $50 off, and so I thought I'd pick this up and check it out. And it's got 5 films. It's got Shadows, Faces, A Woman Under the Influence, The Killing of a Chinese Bookie, and Opening Night. Now, since buying this set, I have watched the first 2 films in it, Shadows and Faces, and I have to say, so far, I'm not a huge fan of Cassavetes based on those 2 films. I see the appeal of them, I see cool things in them, but it's not my style of filmmaking. It's a little too frenetic. I tend to like slower directors who take their time a little bit more. I find the characters kind of bitter and unpleasant. It's this cinema verite, really realistic kind of take. I tend to prefer more stylized cinema. So I'm not loving it so far, but I've heard that these are the weaker films in the set, and I'm looking forward to watching the stronger ones. And one of the nice things about blind buys, which I'm doing all blind buys this time, is that I've made the financial investment in them and I own them. So now I have an incentive to really try to enjoy them and try to get the most out of them. And so if you rent a movie or stream a movie, you watch it, you didn't like it, that's the end of it, you forget about it. With this, now that I have them, I want to I don't want my money to have been wasted on something I didn't like. So I want to delve into it more and try to get the most out of it and find the things that I can really appreciate about it. And sometimes it's not about saying that was a good movie or a bad movie or I like that or I didn't like that. It's about identifying the elements of it that are interesting and that I do enjoy. And so I really like that because it's made me go back to some movies I otherwise wouldn't have gone back to and found things in them that I otherwise wouldn't have found. And I think it's a really cool box set. I like the packaging on it a lot. So I'm happy I got that. Next up, I got the first feature film by Jean-Pierre Melville, French film from 1949 called Le Silence de la Mer, The Silence of the Sea. This is a film about a German officer who, during the Second World War, who is stationed quartered in a home of an elderly man and his adult niece who live together in a small town in France. And in order to protest his being there, they refuse to acknowledge him, refuse to speak to him, and they keep complete silence. I watched this last night. I thought it was wonderful. I really, really loved it. It shows kind of like the common humanity between people, even if they're enemies. The Nazi officer is not like a brutal, savage, evil person. He's got the things that he cares about and his different worldview, but he's a human being like everyone else, and so are the people in France. And you kind of see that commonality between them. And I thought it was really beautiful, and I want to check out more of Melville's films because I really loved it. Next up, you may remember I did a review of the Tales of E.T.A. Hoffmann recently on this channel. So I thought I'd pick up this Powell and Pressburger operatic musical film, The Tales of Hoffmann, based on the operetta by Jacques Offenbach. He's the one who did Orpheus in the Underworld, where we get the melody from the can-can from. And I really liked Orpheus in the Underworld. I haven't seen the Tales of Hoffmann operetta, but I think Offenbach is a great composer. I like opera, I like operetta, and I like musicals. So this looks like a kind of fun extravaganza, very colorful, based on some of the stories that I've recently read. So I'm looking forward to watching that. Next up, All That Money Can Buy, a.k.a. The Devil and Daniel Webster. I don't know much about this, but I know it's a story about a man who makes a deal with the devil, and I'm always here for that. I love stories about people who make a deal with the devil, Faust, and all those kind of legends. I think they're super interesting. I like theatrical or filmic portrayals of the devil. I always think the portrayals are really fun and really interesting, so I'm looking forward to reading that. Next up, I'm trying to get more into silent films. I've never really been a huge fan of silent films. I've probably seen maybe a dozen silent films in my life. Not a lot, just a handful. And there's some I like and there's some I don't like. I find them a little bit taxing on my patience to sit through sometimes. It takes a lot of focus to really sit through a silent film where you have to read everything and you can't just listen to the dialogue. But I'm trying to get more into them because I do like them and I think they're interesting. And so I picked up this one that's recently been re-released. It was out of print, but they have brought it back from the dead. Pandora's Box starring Louise Brooks. This is an iconic silent film that has been very influential in terms of just like Hollywood iconography and stuff. I've heard about it for many years. I've never seen it. It's quite long. It's over 2 hours long. But I wanted to say that I really, really love the packaging on this. It comes in this slipcover, and it's got these beautiful, luxurious, sumptuous black and white photographs on the inside of the set here. It comes with a very thick book full of essays and photography. It's just a beautifully packaged item, and I'm really looking forward to seeing that as well because it just looks cool, and I want to learn more about silent film. It also comes with, I think, 4 different musical soundtracks because obviously with silent film, there was no soundtrack baked into the film itself. You had to just have something performed alongside it, either live or recorded. And so there's no like fixed official scores to a lot of these silent films. So various people have made up scores to go with them in the intervening years. And there's 4 different ones on the set. So that should be super fun to check out all those different ones. I guess that means I have to watch it 4 times. Next up, I got this Lars von Trier film, Antichrist, which is controversial and transgressive. I've never seen it. I've seen one other Lars von Trier film, but I kept hearing good things about this, and I wanted to check it out. I'm a little nervous to watch it, but I like horror films, and I think I'm pretty desensitized at this point, so I think I'll be okay. Next up is the film If, starring Malcolm McDowell. This is from a few years before A Clockwork Orange. I'm a big fan of A Clockwork Orange, and I like Malcolm McDowell as an actor. I saw him on this and thought, well, that would be interesting. It's about a British boarding school full of boys that get into trouble, apparently. Haven't seen it, don't really know the plot. But I like British boarding schools, I like English films, and I like this actor, so I'm expecting to enjoy that. Next up is a Bette Davis film called Now, Voyager. Again, I haven't seen it. I don't know too much about it, but I like Bette Davis. I've recently been rewatching All About Eve a bunch of times. And All About Eve has just like risen through the ranks of my favorite films. And every time I watch it, I like it more. It's really become one of my very, very top favorites. And so I want to see more Bette Davis. I tend to like her older stuff more than her younger stuff. This is a little bit younger, but it's also got Claude Rains in it, who is great. So this will be a little bit lighter, kind of, classic 1940s Hollywood, not quite so heavy, not quite so depressing as some of the foreign films or horror films that I'm getting. So I'm looking forward to that because it'll be just a light, fun little romp. Speaking of horror films, we have 2 films produced by Val Lewton. This is a new release from Criterion. I Walked with a Zombie and The Seventh Victim. Again, I don't know anything about these, but they're classic era horror Hollywood horror films, and I love horror films, and it's Halloween, so I'm going to go ahead and watch those. Should be great. And then last, but certainly not least, I have one more. I bought way too many items this time, but my wish list is still like 100 items long. I'm never going to get to the end of it. There's so many things I want to watch from Criterion, and I just love collecting them because they're such beautiful objects. Onibaba. This is a Japanese ghost story. I wanted to get into this kind of genre of films. There's a lot of Japanese ghost stories. I love horror. I love ghosts. And this has a very creepy demon mask as a feature as part of it. It's about a woman and I think 2 women who are a family who live on the outskirts of town, and they murder wandering samurais and sell their possessions in order to survive. And then there's some element of this demon mask that comes in. Again, I don't really know, but it looks like a lot of fun. And I'm trying to get more into Japanese cinema. There's a few things I've seen recently that I've really liked, and so I want to kind of go more in that direction. So there you have it. That was my haul from Criterion this time around. You get a double whammy this time of year because in November, Barnes & Noble has their half-off sale, and I'll probably pick up a few more titles at some point during that month, and I'll talk about that when I get them. But in the meantime, I have a lot of watching to do. I'm currently in Iceland. This video was pre-recorded, so I will talk to you about what I did there when I get back. Maybe I'll do a video if I pick up some books in Iceland or some records. We'll talk about that. But for the meantime, if you enjoyed this review and you like Criterion stuff and you like book reviews and you like music reviews, like this video, subscribe to the channel, click the bell for notification, leave me comments down below, and check back every Wednesday for yet another video. I've been your host, Logan Albright. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.